Hello, on behalf of Adoption Education through AdoptionClasses.com, I welcome you to this seminar. My name is Roberta2. We will be discussing today post-placement supervision, a necessary step in your international adoption. So, let us start. Firstly, let us begin with the question, what is post-placement supervision? Post-placement supervision for international adoption is a series of meetings, evaluations, one of which will be conducted in your home with the entire family and your social worker. Other in-person meetings may take place in the offices of your adoption agency if they are near your home, or in the office of your social worker. The reports, based on the interviews with you, are then filed with your adoption agency and the adoption agency in your child's birth country. These reports also include 3 to 6 photographs of your child and a current medical report or statement. So remember to have these items currently available and readily available when your social worker visits. Why is agreeing to post-placement supervision important before you adopt? All countries that place children for international adoption require this commitment, and all American agencies dealing with these countries must comply with this requirement. Also, our Department of Homeland Security, Bureau of Citizenship and Immigration Services, CIS as it is usually known, will only grant approval for an adoption if the family agrees to participate in this process. This commitment is noted by your social worker in your adoption home study and is mandatory in obtaining approval by Citizenship and Immigration Services to adopt a child from overseas. Your home study will include a section, much like this one, summary of the counseling given and plans for post-placement counseling. It will have your name and state you agree to comply with all requirements for post-placement counseling and supervision. This is something that you know before you enter into the entire adoption process. What are the fees for this service, you ask? Well, your agency will outline the fee structure. Be sure that you get the fee structure for this service. Due to the importance of maintaining close contact with you, the adoptive families, some agencies may require this fee be paid prior to placement to ensure the visits are conducted according to government regulations. The fees vary based on the number of visits and location of the meetings. Now that you have adopted, you ask, why is supervision necessary? Many adoptive parents think this, but few venture to ask this, in part because they have become accustomed to the many regulations that govern adoption. It, however, is a good question, and the answer recalls rumors of either baby selling or the times where there was a lot of anti-adoption sentiments. So, to assure the courts and the governments of the birth country and to assure America that the child was placed in a home meeting international standards, agreements for post-placement supervision were established and instituted. It is absolutely imperative these reports be filed on time and that all appointments scheduled for the social worker are conducted in a timely fashion. I can attest to at least 3 circumstances when reports were not filed on time and American agencies were jeopardized by having their adoption programs closed. So under these circumstances, it is important to assume full responsibility for keeping all appointments. Just make a note in your appointment book when your next appointment is scheduled so that you'll truly remember it. This will also make it easier for future adoptive parents because they will know that all these requirements are complied with. There are also other reasons why post-placement supervision is essential for you, the adoptive parent. It provides documentation to your court in your state that your family is recommended as an adoptive family for your child. This is particularly important for those families who were solely given guardianship by another country and wish to adopt the child in America, or by families who wish to readopt in the United States. Families who adopted in a certain country, in a birth country, but now want to readopt in America. This assures your child that they will be heir to all the rights and privileges of an American citizen. So this is truly an important process. Generally, how many reports are needed? The number of post-supervisory reports varies according to your state and the birth country, the country of adoption. Your social worker will provide you with a timetable for appointments. Some countries require 1 post-placement report within 6 months. Others may require the necessity for 3 reports within a 3-year period with your social worker. At the same time, countries may request annual progress notes that you solely write on the child's development. Post-placement supervisory visits range generally time duration of between 1 and 3 hours, depending on the focus and the issues brought forth by you, the social worker, and really how chatty you and the social worker are. How do I prepare for the first post-placement supervisory interview? We all understand how important this appointment is and how we can become anxious. All the agencies and the social workers are aware of this. We understand the challenges facing first-time parents are absolutely overwhelming, and it's because of the questions that deal with child rearing, how the child is developing, and family dynamics that post-placement supervision comes at this time, just after the child is placed in the home, the time that marks the onset of family life and the transition to parenthood. Mindful of the pressures families face, this is also one of the most meaningful times for you to reflect on your own feelings, the progress of your child, and the adjustment of your family. While adoption can be a joyous time, it brings with it the awakening that child rearing under any circumstances is neither simple nor easy. For parents adopting from abroad, there are issues of the child's adoption, age, the genetic predispositions, the past experiences with a biological family, the child's medical history, how long the child was institutionalized for or in an orphanage, all of which contribute to making your child what he or she is like at the time of adoption. With this in mind, we can view the post-placement supervisory experience as a time of learning, as a time of support and enlightenment, and what happens when you, as the adoptive family, with so much love in your heart, share your love with a new child. So please, read the material, understand how these meetings will help you, and have pictures available for your social worker. and then relax as the meeting comes forth. We will now turn our attention to the format of a post-placement supervisory visit and what it is like. The post-placement supervisory visit will concentrate on the adjustment, growth of your child, and how your child is thriving and developing. So the purpose of these contacts and visits is to ensure and monitor the child's adjustment and development and to review family life. If this is your first meeting with a social worker, have a current medical report available as well as a copy of your child's inoculation booklet. If you are working with a pediatrician who specializes in international adoptions, you will want to have your child's current medical status noted for comparison to the discharge medical your child received from the birth country. This will really give you a feeling of how your child is thriving and developing with you. Likewise, you may just want to ask your pediatrician how your child rates in terms of height and weight with other children of the same age and heredity. It will just give you a yardstick. Is your child particularly tall, or is your child just the right age, most of the weight that the children are, your child in the middle? It is just a yardstick, nothing to be particularly anxious about. What is of prime importance is your child's healthful development and a physician who is mindful of conditions that need treatment. As Americans, we're really blessed with excellent medical conditions and with some of the best pediatric care in the world. So readily make yourself available for all the preventative and intervention services that are available. Also, note that your child's skin is of importance to your social worker, and a visual body check of an infant or a toddler during diaper change is required by certain states to ascertain skin is clear and well maintained. This is particularly significant when a child has a history of diaper rash or heat rash, as I witnessed during a trip to an orphanage. Likewise, all issues pertaining to your child will be discussed, including diet and favorite food, digestion, how your child is processing the formula, early foods here, naps, sleeping pattern, bathing, whether your child likes baths or little showers. Also, at this time, share your exuberance and joy over your child's personality. What kind of personality does your child have? What's the smile like? Or how joyful does your child become when listening to music? Or what kind of welcome does your child have when you or your family members step through the door? All of this is important to share with your social worker. And remember, for the supervisory visit, some families like to share their child's baby book or life book with the social worker because it offers graphically the child's progress since placement. So, here are the pictures of your child at home, at play, or with relatives at family occasions. And all of these can perfectly display and document a day in the life of your child. Additionally, you will have the book as forever memories of your child's earliest experiences with you. And your child will always gravitate to the book and those pictures and love to hear the earliest of stories. Your social worker is just as interested as you in your child's developmental skills. So for young children, you will be able to describe how your child is attracted to the light, how your child turns in the direction of sound, how your child's hearing is. These are great indicators. How your child likes being cuddled, how your child is beginning to be attached to your family, and how your child developmentally grasps and holds objects. For older children, there's the excitement of the first steps, how your child is learning to walk, and for you learning and hearing their first words. All of this brings with it your observing nature, you as a parent who are attuned to your child's interests, the ability to focus, and your child's motivation. It is these observations which you will share with your worker and which will give clear indication of your child's growth and maturation. Be sure to be open and discuss bonding and attachment and how your child has responded to the new environment. This is very important because it leaves a lasting foundation and is the beginning of a foundation of love and respect and security in your home. Also discuss behaviors which you do not understand, such as things like, why does my child cry even though child is fed and dry? Why does my child hoard food or hide it even though food is so plentiful? Why does my child sometimes not tell the truth? And why does my child have the certain fears or bad dreams? You may find it helpful to maintain a diary listing the date of these events, describe the occurrence and the manifestation of the behaviors, and what you did to make the situation better for your child. Then, when your social worker visits, you can conference and confer on how to deal with these phenomenon and predicaments. Likewise, discuss these things with your pediatrician. You may want to use a behavior journal to clearly define your concerns and anxieties. A behavior journal can be fashioned in this way: the biographical information about your child with the name, birth date, country of birth, when your child was placed with you, and your pediatrician's name. Then list individually each of the behaviors that concern you. For instance, a fear of strangers. Note when this first occurred. Then where it occurred, in a mall, in the home. Then, what were the circumstances? Was your child tired or hungry, sleepy? And what you did to confirm and comfort your child. How did the situation resolve itself, and how long did it take to bring your child back to regular equilibrium? A lot of times you have to analyze how this is making you feel. When your child is upset, you can't always comfort them. Always observe that. Note all the dates that the situation has reoccurred, and write down again the circumstances, your interventions, and record if the behaviors have escalated. You may use this format or design your own. What is important is to carefully document behaviors, especially do that separately for each behavior, for discussion with your pediatrician, your social worker, and your child's teacher. Reassuring news is our government realizes young children, including those adopted from abroad, may have developmental delays which are on a continuum. Therefore, free early childhood intervention programs are available in your community to you to provide a range of in-your-home therapeutic programs, including fine motor coordination that is dealing with small objects and manipulating them, speech therapy in your home, and bonding strategies to help the attachment process develop. All are geared to supporting you and your family and introducing you to ways to foster your child's developmental milestones and learning and cognitive abilities. For a listing of the local services, contact your local education department or school. I offer also a few words of advice. Always interview with the agencies before selecting an early childhood intervention program. Remember, although intervention is provided till age 3, you, an informed parent, can have these services extended with proper documentation. In concluding this discussion on your child's adjustment, also include his or her reactions to other child in the household, as well as their feelings towards the new addition. We will now turn our attention to you, the adoptive parents, and your response to parenthood. This will begin part 2 of the post-placement supervisory meeting. This section will introduce you to some of the points that will be covered with your social worker. They will be issues such as your feelings towards being a parent, especially the long time that you've waited to become a parent, the nature of parenting, how you're dealing with your child, how you comfort your child, what you feel can be different, levels of frustration, and the effects parenting has on you and your family. Matters such as total exhaustion that you may be experiencing during the early months of becoming a new parent. All professionals in the field of adoption understand that post-placement is a time of euphoria and great happiness. Also, we understand that it brings with it a recognition of the challenges and responsibilities awaiting new parents. This is a reality of life. Thus, a new family begins making the transition to being a unit around which a child, at least initially, the child is the main focus of the household. The household may revolve around the family. It also brings the return to work for some parents, doing the bills, and extended family commitment. So it has a lot going on. This is a time that is also very stressful. It's fine to acknowledge that. We've all gone through this. Throughout all of this, you as adoptive parents maintain your devotion and commitment to your new child and watch over your youngster. These are things that your agency and the social worker really like to hear about. They like to hear about how your family is responding to the challenge of adoption, how you're incorporating your child into the home, and how you treat your child's discomforts and concerns and anxiety. The social worker will look to you to describe in your own words what parenthood means to you. I can recall, for instance, an adoptive mother saying of her child, "This is the child I've always waited for during these long years," and a father stating, "Fatherhood is a life-changing experience, and looking at my boy's eyes, I know we have good days ahead." These are joyful stories. The agency is also interested in how the parent and partners cope with the new child and how responsibilities are delegated. For instance, who gets up at night, who does some of the feedings and the changings, and how the child has affected the couple's relationship and quality time together. The agency and social worker are also interested in how your family has bonded and attached to the new child, and how the child has become a part of your family constellation and life. There will be considerable interest in the extended family's reaction to the new child, and how grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews welcomed the latest addition into the family circle? Were they at home waiting for you after the long, exhausting trip? Did they have a baby shower for you? Who called every day to see how your child and you were faring? And who did you know you could count on every single day? There will also be mention of your other support networks, your church, your friends at work, and new parents you've encountered on your path to parenthood. A final comment and alert. Honestly, transition and change are part of our life. It happens on occasion that we become overwhelmed and frightened when moving into new territory. For some of us, the stress of the adoption process triggers a period of post-adoption depression syndrome. It's much similar to postpartum depression of giving birth and what follows after the birth. This is nothing to feel ashamed or guilty of. Rather, it requires prompt attention by a clinician trained in the field of depression. It should be discussed with your social worker, who will recommend supportive services to you and your extended family. Adoption and American citizenship. Your agency and the authorities in your child's birth country look forward to learning of the adoption or readoption of your child. So remember to notify them when the adoption is finalized. And on behalf of the entire adoption community in the United States and adoptive parents worldwide, you are wished patience, good health, a bountiful heart, and much happiness. Thank you very much for joining us. We would like to share that Roberta Calmore, your trainer for the day, is an adoption home study specialist with more than 25 years experience. She has extensive expertise with adoptions from around the world, including Guatemala, Vietnam, Ethiopia, China, India, Pakistan, Russia, Eastern Europe, Guyana, the Caribbean, and the United States. She has also extensively conducted a tour of the Tam Binh Child Center in Vietnam, an orphanage that gained worldwide attention because of Angelina Jolie's adoption of a son from that program. 2, Ms. Calmore served as a social work consultant to an adoption program in Africa and volunteered her services to an orphanage in Ethiopia. Her articles on adoption issues frequently appear on the web. Formerly, she was an administrator with a prominent New York State adoption agency. Ms. Calmore's adoption home study practice includes clients who are couples, singles, step-parents, and adoptive parents over 40. Feel free to visit her website at abcadoptionsonline.com. She can also be contacted at 718-499-8993. Thank you very much for your attention today.